How are you guys doing? We have YouTube, we have TikTok, and we have Instagram going at the same time. Woo! So hit those little like buttons and share buttons and live so that we have more people here. We're running a little late today, but we already streamed all this earlier this morning. I got here and just jumped on there, so we have an extra stream that was a little bit earlier today. If we guys missed it, you guys can check that out as the first section, but you guys don't really need to in order to keep up with the rest of the lesson because I'm just gonna jibber jabber until I am tired of drawing today. I gotta wait till like 4 in the afternoon today, anyways. So you guys have me for a while. And since I'm moving all my shit out of my house, it's literally like I don't feel like doing it. So I'd much rather just draw with you guys here if you guys don't mind. Uh, Give me a second. This might fix all the problems. There you go. All right. What do you use in your water pens? What do you mean? I just put water. It's just water and watercolor. That's it. Like there's nothing fancy to what I do. The reason this looks cool and it doesn't bleed with what I'm drawing is because ballpoint pen, like Bic, ballpoint pens, not gel pens, ballpoint pens work really nicely with watercolor. They don't bleed, they don't blend, they don't like smear, and it's a nice little combination that I've always loved. Never been very like I was never very good at it at first. I didn't know how to like actually like work it, but I knew that I loved it, so I kept at it until I was able to actually use it. For a while too, I was just using like strictly watercolors. Not watercolors, highlighters. Highlighters was like the thing that I was using for everything because they were easily accessible. Everybody could have some, and it was cheap. So it was something that I wanted to learn how to use properly, or use not properly, but use in my own ways for you, like my own purposes, right? Highlighters were not meant to be art materials, so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna learn how to like use them like art materials and actually make them functional. And I found their purpose. Their purpose is to accentuate things, so I use it to accentuate things. I use the same way that I would use a highlighter, I use highlighters for the same thing. So instead of highlighting letters or like words, I'm using it to highlight the parts of the art that I like. So it's still a highlighter, used as a highlighter with the purpose of a highlighter. Let's see. What should we talk about right now? Honestly, I'm just really happy. I just, I'm just incredibly happy and I'm just joyful about like being here today. Honestly, I'm just really. So, yeah, it's been a good day so far, and I plan on it being a good day throughout the rest of the day. So, um, yeah, I'm just gonna doodle, have fun with you guys. If you guys have questions, please, ask them. If you guys don't have questions and you guys just want to watch, hey, more, no worries. Just grab your sketchbook, try to learn a little bit. If you guys are here with any other purpose, hey, enjoy yourselves. That's what it's here for. That's what I'm here for. So we were drawing goblins. So let's continue with a little bit like of goblin theme. So we'll draw a spiky nose, a general shape for the head, and then there you go. So if this is going to be the nose, let's not go with a boring, just straight up flat profile. Let's angle his face a little bit. But which way do we want to angle it? Do we want to angle it up or do we want to angle it down? I think it's harder to angle it down, so I'm going to go with that route. So if you see it somebody from underneath, you would probably see a little bit more of the underneath side of their nose. This would also mean that your nose bridge and your eye line are going to be closer to the top of your head because the spacing between your forehead and the top of your head is obstructed a little bit. And that can be easily done by tracing like hemispheres with an actual sphere and seeing what happens when you move that hairline up and down. Right? As opposed to just being in the middle. You move it up, the spacing up here is a lot smaller. If you move it down, it's going to be a lot smaller in the bottom. In this case, we are using this as the eye line. So if our eye line is going to be in the top, that means that all this space is diminished for the forehead and the top of the head. Then that means that all this space is maximized for the mouth and for the chin, for all the spacing underneath. So now that we use our circles to come up with that, now we use our squares to figure out everything else. Right? So we use our basic shape knowledge of a circular object to be able to figure out which angle we want everything in. But now we got to figure out some sharp angles with our boxy shapes. So now we got to figure out, for example, the jaw, right? We got to see like how much of the neck we're going to see and everything, especially from this angle. So how do you do that? Like then once we figure out this in the circular motion of where our eyes are going to go and we know how much space we need to leave, now we get to figure out the flat sides of the face. I like to determine that by establishing where my ear is going to be first. My ear is going to be roughly at the top of my ear, at the top of my eyebrows, down to where my nose is going to be. So again, this is an almost circular object at this point, right? So I'm just going to trace my shape around, find how far back I want my ear, and let's just draw an ear that matches those specifics, right? From the eyebrow to the nose. Now we're doing a goblin, so we need to make sure that this ear is a little bit more stylized. So let's make it pointy. So we have a pointy ear. You can make it all ragged if you want the character to be like, you can give it some accessories like earrings and stuff like that. You know, we can do a lot of fun things with it, but we have the basic structure of it already set up. The way that I'm drawing this is I'm visualizing all this stuff as 3D shapes that are getting molded and placed in place. I'm not just drawing lines and sketching it in and then just doing it. What I'm thinking about is volume at all times. Right? At every given point that I'm putting down a line, how is that going to give me a little bit more depth? In this case, it lifted this up. If I add another thing like this right here, it's going to mean that there's another little part that's elevated right there. Right? If I add some negative space right here, like this, it's going to mean that this little overlappy shape is going to cast a shadow on top of this bottom part. You know, so you can add a lot of depth to your drawing with a little bit of knowledge of 3D, a little bit of knowledge of anatomy, and a little bit of knowledge of perspective. Okay, so now we have a really cool ear that matches the top of our head. Now let's use our knowledge of our ear, knowing where our ear is, gives us an indication of where our jaw is going to start. And why is that? Well, it's pretty simple. Let me move this down so people on YouTube can see that easier. Okay, the reason that finding your ear is going to give you your entire jaw is because your ears are the part where your jaw hinges. So your jaw connects from the bottom of your ear, goes down a little bit, and curls up onto your chin. Okay, this is the motion that's going on whenever you are drawing a jaw. Now this jaw can be open, but it's always going to connect at those 2 points, regardless of where you move your jaw. Right? So you can learn to draw your head in different positions very easily by just rotating the jaw on a sphere. So find one point, find the other side's point, connect them to the front of your face, and finish off your face. And then you have your head. When you're drawing a shape that's above, you draw your shape, you find your jaw point, your ears, you connect, you find your chin, and then connect those points. And now you have somebody looking from the bottom. So that is a way that you can visualize it, and that's how you use your boxes. This is essentially a box. This is the edge of a box. That is what's going on here. Okay, that's the front of your face, jaw, jaw. So that is what's going on here in the bottom part, right? So if we take this guy, we have one ear. I'm going to find the depth. How far back do I want my other ear to be? So if my head is coming this way, I'm gonna add like a diadem, like a tiara, or like whatever you want to call it, a headphones on them. I'm gonna figure out where my other ear is gonna be based on that. Roughly around this area. It doesn't have to be perfect. Roughly around this area my other ear is gonna be. Okay, and then I have to connect it to my chin. My chin is gonna be right here. So this is going to go down, go to my chin, curve around my chin, and go to my other side. So even if this character is looking slightly up, since he has almost no neck, or if we do draw him with no neck, that would be the case. If we make this ear lower, let's make it over like a little lower just for example's sake. This would mean that the face is a lot more round than we are giving it credit for right now. So the ear would be here. We would have to move everything a little bit more. A little bit more to be able to match that. And then we would have the example of something going down, going up to your chin, and going back up. Right? That is what would be happening right there. And then the neck is in between the jaw. So your neck fits inside of your jawbone. So, and then it's connected here with skin and muscles and stuff. But that essential concept of your jaw, right here, is doing this. That is what's going on with your jaw and your neck. Right? So if your neck is going in inside of there, whenever you open and close your mouth, if you're ever wondering the spacing between here, when you have your mouth just closed, it's like that. When you have your mouth open, your jaw hinges back a little bit, but your neck stays in the same position. Your face stays in the same position. It's just your mouth that opens. So this gets closer to your neck. This gets pushed back because it goes around your neck. Round. Right? So that's what's happening when you open your neck. Or when you open your mouth. This is hinging back and it's just rotating around your neck. So yeah, so that's a funny, interesting part of anatomy that's normally really hard to understand until you start figuring it out like it would be a basic, like any other basic shape. And whenever you're drawing anything in perspective and stuff, it's a matter of understanding what you're drawing, much more so than trying to stylize things. When you just recognize all these basic shapes as basic shapes, because all I'm drawing is just cutting into my basic shape, cutting it again, you know, like this is just doing this, like to a sphere. This is me just cutting the sphere, figuring out that depth, just like I would on a basic shape, right? Figure out what angles would pop up. In this case, it's a little different than this one, but and then again, just start building everything from basic shapes. I know how to draw a cone, so therefore I just got to figure out how to draw a tooth like a cone. I know how to draw a cylinder or a sphere, so now I know that a tongue is just half a cylinder. So we can just draw that as that and have it have depth and have it make sense because we are basing it off of just a basic shape. This part of the mouth, right? This entire part of the mouth is very complicated to a lot of people. And the way that I like to simplify it is think about this as one big eye, right? If you think about that like an eye, can you guys see there? Can you guys see there? If you think about that muzzle or that little section of the, let's draw an ugly nose because we're still drawing goblins. This part right here that goes from the chin the way up to the eye, to the side of the nose, right? If you think about this area like it's an eye, you're going to like simplify your life so much. And let me show you why. The upper lid of the eye is going to be your upper lip. The thickness of your eyelid is going to be the thickness of your lip. And then you do the same thing for the bottom. Now you're going to have a little bit more fun shapes when it comes down to your mouth because you have so much more flexibility with the muscles than your eyelids. But it could be as easy as just making little like expressions with a cyclops. Imagine that you have a cyclops underneath your nose. And its eyelid is going to be that round part right above that's what your upper lip is, the upper part of your lip. So that is, or the mustache zone if you guys want to call it like that, right? That's just its forehead. The Cyclops forehead is your upper part. So if you want to give it a big forehead, make it with a big forehead. You know, if you want like your character, let's just draw another nose, same exact nose, two different people. Okay, so if you want this spacing to be bigger, draw the eyelid a little bit lower so you have more space. If you want less space, draw it up here, right? They're both eyelids, and they both look like eyes. They both work, and they both function depending on whatever style or whatever like way you want to design your character. That is up to you. But the placement is going to generally be within this area. So once you start seeing it like that, the thickness of your eyelids, this has depth, right? This has like depth. If you want to make these really, really, really appealing, like very voluptuous, draw the outside of your mouth, or like your eyelid, or your mouth lid, and then draw your lips really, really poofy inside. Ta-da! And it works in every angle. Oh wait, was that a mouth or is that an eye? Oh, which one is it? Actually, if you broke it down like this would be where the eyelashes come out of. That is like the same concept of the eye, only works if you understand that the eyelid has a little bit of depth to the eye. Like the concept of the eyelid has a depth to it, right? It's like a little tiny little like leverage space. And that is where your eyelids come out, your eyelashes and stuff like that come out of the top of your eyelid. So they have this little tiny step to them. Right there. So that right there is what you associate with the lip. So that thickness of that part is what you would consider your lip. And then you add your negative space depending on where you want your teeth. And just like that, you can turn an eye into a mouth that's going to be very effective when you're drawing. So, and then it's as easy to practice drawing mouths in different shapes, in different positions, practice drawing eyes in different positions, and then do what I just told you. It's easy to just visualize things differently. Cut into a mouth, and then just start playing around with that idea, and you'll find that drawing an eye, sometimes it's easier because we practice drawing eyes all the time. So now just take that concept and then turn that into a mouth. An angry eye is a happy smile. So sometimes it just takes seeing things from a different perspective to make it easy for yourself. Now, what I like to tell people is to, instead of like taking these concepts and like just like taking me for word and like actually like, oh, it actually works. You guys need to break all the stuff that you guys do like this down to the most basic form. Like if I'm drawing anything, let's say like I can't figure out the angle of a head, right? Or like the way that my eye is supposed to look or something. I will break it down to the most simple form I can. And then take that one step further. Okay, I can draw that and it looks good. Now can I draw that and make it look good? Okay, it works so far. At what point in my drawing do I realize I am not understanding what I'm doing? right? At what point within your structure, put a stop to it. Be like, okay, cool, stop, stop, stop. I don't know what this is. I don't know why I can't draw it like this. Why can't I understand how to do this? If you actually take the time to be self critical about this stuff, you will improve exponentially, stupidly quick. But if you don't, and you aren't honest with yourself, if you're not self critical of yourself, you're honestly just going to get stuck for years. And you might be able to create some really cool stuff. Don't get me wrong. You'll be able to create some amazing stuff. But at the end of the day, you'll be limited to what you can copy from other people because you won't really be understanding what you're actually drawing. And that is like a concept that I'm very adamant about, making sure that, people understand. And not because I'm trying to like be like, oh, this is the only way to create. No, 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 no. I'm only telling you guys this because that's what hindered me for years, right? Like this held me back for years. Like I would say easily a good 15 years of my career. So instead of me here praising and telling you guys, like, hey, follow everything the way that you guys want to do it, blah, 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 blah. I can tell you guys what not to do from the shit that I've been through. And then, hopefully you guys take some, like knowledge from a person that's been doing this for 20 years. So, like I said, I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to tell you guys how to create. I'm just telling you guys things that I know make a difference, and I did not realize them for almost an entirety of a lifetime. Before I made something like different with it. So, yeah. Like, okay, the person that I want to be, the type of person that I want to be as a grown up, as a human being, as an adult, is the person that I wish I had met when I started becoming what I wanted to be as a career. I would have loved to be that mentor or person that just randomly gives me advice, right? Even if I don't necessarily need it. I wanted to have that person that was willing to draw with me as much as I wanted or needed, right? And somebody that would be as driven about as what I wanted to do as me. So every day I try my hardest to get on here for a couple hours or an hour so that people have someone to draw with, someone to create with, someone to sometimes like learn something from, or maybe even somebody to just listen to in the background while you just do your own work. It just feels nice to have somebody that talks about things that you think about a lot. What pencil do I draw with? I don't draw with pencil. I draw with pen. So I'm using a round stick Bic pen with a little bit of with a little grip. One day I will put my entrepreneur face on and I will make like an Amazon store with like little links to all the goodies that I use. And you guys can buy them and then maybe I'll actually make some money out of this stuff. But, until then, just let you know, all I use is like dollar store utensils. Anything that I can find at the dollar store. Mostly because I want to make sure that everybody can afford the things that I draw with. I don't want people to think that it's going to matter a lick of difference if you get Copics or if you get uh, Walmart brand, like, markers. It's not about that at all. Like, and that is something that's heavily like seen and biased in, you know, like in the art industry, because that's how people make money in the art industry, right? So, you know, I chose to get good at drawing with very basic stuff. Like everything I draw with, you can probably buy it with like $10. And that's including the sketchbook and my glove. I know that goblins are tinkerers, so I'm going to draw this guy as a little tinker. Adding elements like rivets, lines, folds, and any sort of little tiny detail that will help me determine this as more of a techie type of feel as opposed to the more organic feel of his skin. So I need to make a distinction between these things. The more that you are able to do that with just texturing and your line work, the less you have to worry about adding detail when it comes down to color and your inking and stuff. When you can get a lot of it done by simply adding tiny textures with your pen when you're sketching, all this little detail, I would never get rid of my sketch lines when I'm inking. Never. Like, that is the life and the source of my sketch. Like, if I got rid of all my little sketch lines, like, honestly, the drawing would probably lose a ton of its appeal, right? It would not be as lively. It would just be like a clean, like stickery version of it. And it, like, I hate cleaning up my artwork. Like, I find it incredibly deterrent to what I want to achieve with my art to have it completely clean. Let's see what. Okay, so another thing that is normally difficult for people for some reason is reflections. So when you're looking at someone as a goggle, like goggles or glasses or something like that, we end up with reflective surfaces. So glasses, let's do some goggles. Okay, so we have some glasses and goggles. What is going on whenever you're drawing the things inside? Well, what's going on? It's they're really reflecting anything that is hitting them, right? It's like a mirror most of the time. Or if it's just something that's very, very glossy or very like shiny, it's mostly going to be light with a little bit of broken parts for whatever's going through. So it's you're playing with light a lot. But we're also going to be playing with a lot with silhouettes. So in this case, let's say these are like sunglasses and you want somebody at the beach, right? You want to tell that someone's at the beach just by simply showing the reflection of these glasses. So all you got to do is draw a beach as a silhouette. And you will have some sunglasses with a beach as its reflection. Blur it a little bit if you want so it's not like super sharp, but like some chrome glasses will essentially reflect like a mirror. So you can do that, and then to make it even cooler, just add a tint of color. Gradients work nicely, so let me get rid of a lot of this. So now you have some sunglasses that have that. Now, if you're trying to do more like a crazy maniac type of like effect, it's not necessarily a reflection, more so that it's just like a highlight. So you essentially create just a big heavy highlight that can either be shown with most of the goggles being black, or you create the series of highlights that indicate whatever curvature your goggles have. So you can go with either approach like that, and they both will look really, really nice and they'll work nicely. But again, you will also understand that this is a surface with depth, right? This has curvature. Even if it's supposed to be a glass. Glasses have curvature. Glasses, like whatever you have, they have slight curvature to them. Very slight, but it's still there. So you have to account for that whenever you're drawing. This is the hard part of keeping and being a better and better artist. Being able to understand these concepts come with taking time to do it, making a lot of mistakes, making sure, like, even like being self-critical again. It's such an important aspect of it. So you have to make sure that if you don't understand it, you actively try to learn it. If you don't understand these concepts, or some aspect of what I'm explaining is a little bit hard, like visualizing things, like, drawing through your object, visualizing things as just flat, like not flat lines, but seeing like things like teeth as like cylinders, crap like that. So stuff like that is the hard part of being an artist. Your imagination, you might be the most imaginative human being in the planet, but it means nothing if you don't know how to actually put that outside of your brain. So doing this type of exercises and practicing and visualizing and thinking about it like that is going to help you achieve what you need to achieve. Let's see, what do we want to do with this one? Make his eyes super big. That's the other thing that happens when you're actually wearing goggles. It magnifies anything that's underneath. So if you wanted to, it could be that approach. When we go into shading any of our sketches, I like to make sure that I know what light source is going to be affecting it. So I often give myself a little arrow or something of the sort. Something that I can erase later if I take it into Photoshop or Procreate or whatever. But then I start taking those basic shapes and those basic sketch lines that I already marked. They're all telling me the shapes that I need to do. So since I already know these are the basic shapes and how shadows work a little bit, like this is a cylinder, this is a cone, this is a cone as well, like two little cones, or like a little webby part. This is a cone, so the bottom part of this gets shaded. This is casting a shadow underneath. This is kind of like a cylinder, so the back part of this gets done, that done too. And for the most part, all of this would be shaded, but I'm trying to give you guys an example. This is a sphere, so I know that if the light source is hitting here, most of the shadowing would be right here. When we get into the nose, this is a circular shape, so I know that this is probably going to be a little darker because it's right at the bottom, and this will be casting a shadow on the bottom part of the lip. From here, these elements would cast a shadow in the mouth. You would not see any highlights in the mouth. All this is in shadows because of definitely no light hitting if all the light is coming from up here. The back part of my mouth is also in a shadow, and I would also have most of my teeth in shadows because the lip would be casting a shadow on it. Now, I wouldn't make everything completely in shadows because then it's going to look weird. So I would just still leave a little bit of white and just making it look like a big cast shadow onto my teeth. The bottom part of my teeth would probably show a little bit of light because it's still hitting from the back, and it would be probably seen right here. But the bottom of the chin would be shaded a little bit. Again, because this has a cylindrical shape, and that would be the bottom part of it. The cast shadow onto my neck is because of the neck shape. Again, the neck goes around your neck, right? Like we talked about right here. So this would cast the shadow onto your neck, right? So that is what's happening here. Your neck is a cylinder in all. It's an essential core between all the little details. It's a cylinder. So if the light is hitting from the top, this is all shaded. So like I said, that's all supposed to be in shadows, but I just kind of left it black because boom, side of the head, probably shaded. And then you do the same thing for accessories and everything else that you have in your scene. And that is how you just learn how to do lighting and shadows via learning your perspective and your anatomy. Like it's all tied in, but lighting is not, shadows is not an important aspect of learning how to draw. Let me put that completely out there and just be completely frank about this. Lighting, doing shadows right is not a key element in art. That might be my opinion, but it really isn't. I think it hinders people. I think when people think that they need to learn how to shadow and light and do all that crap before they learn how to actually shape a character or shape an object, and they start doing shadows, they hinder themselves. Because if you don't understand how something is formed, you can't honestly understand how light is forming that shape. So it's going to be very hard for you to do that. Alright, drawing every day with you has improved my art so much, and it's helped me with keeping a routine. Woohoo! That is what I'm talking about. Emily is one of the OGs in this. She's always here, she's always supportive, and she's an amazing artist herself, so you guys should probably check her out. Leave a link to your stuff right here, Emily. She's on the YouTube chat, by the way, guys. Couldn't quite see on Instagram, so I switched to YouTube. Oh, really? What's going on Instagram? Yeah, we get like no people on Instagram. Like Instagram, even though I have 121,000 people on Instagram, right? 121,000 people. 9 people are in the chat. 9. On YouTube, I have 42,000 people on, or 44 or something like that. I believe sometimes we get around like 100 people. Sometimes. On TikTok, I have 95,000 people. And here, I get up to 15,000 people sometimes. Why do you guys think I don't stream to these most of the time? I'm just telling you guys right now, for people that do anything similar to what I do, TikTok and Instagram are fucking dead. No, TikTok, not. YouTube, like for video footage and cataloging, it's fantastic, but it has not been a good like source like of like getting new viewers like at all. So hey, whatever. It is what it is. Just draw lines on my glasses. Yeah, some people, like most people just do this when it comes down to glasses. They'll like draw the glasses and they'll just do this. And that's fine, that works. You know, it really, like what I'm trying to do is explain to you guys what what you're seeing so that you guys understand it so you guys can stylize it more appropriately. So even though you only do it like this, if you understand that this is essentially reflecting two cylindrical lights or a cylindrical light, That's all it would mean. That's all that having these light sources would mean. It means that you have a light source that is like that, and it's shining that on top of you. So even when you simplify things, keep in mind how they actually work and how they function, and you're eventually just gonna be a much better artist. It's just gonna come with like the nature of it. Sorry to hear that. I hope you get 100 more viewers and subscribers. You know, like I never really started this with the intent of actually getting any followers. Uh, I really just wanted to make sure that people had content there to be able to understand concepts that were hard. Because all the things that I'm explaining to you guys are things that were really difficult for me, right? Mouths, like how the neck works, how the jaw works, how the eyes work, all that stuff was really hard for me. So I spend a lot of time like trying to explain things in the ways that made sense to me so that people don't have to stress and worry so much about always making sure their drawings are perfect. The more you practice the placement, the concept of three-dimensional space, and the way that you basically use and mapping your basic shapes into everyday structures that you draw, are what's going to make you a more consistent artist. You don't need, let me explain this again. You don't need to learn any of this shit. You don't. Like, there's nothing in art that tells you that you have to approach it a certain way. I'm just giving you guys some ideas and examples of things that keep you from being incompetent in some aspects of art later on in your career. Especially when you're at war, like if you're already an established artist, right? And then you start getting all these opportunities to do these awesome things, and then you realize you don't have the ability to do so. How fucking terrifying is that? Imagine getting to the point where you are known and you're like recognized for what you do. And then all of a sudden you get that opportunity you really want to. You get that character designer position. You get that opportunity to work at a film. And then you realize that you've been copying other people's work for so long that you don't really know how to make all those concepts on your own. That's a terrifying concept. That is an absolutely terrifying idea. And I found myself in a situation similar to that. And that is why I'm like honestly like just trying my hardest to explain that to you guys in a way that makes sense. Because when I came into a realization, it was like for me it was an anatomical like situation. Like I realized I did not understand anatomy at all, at all, and that was because I got asked to work in a book for some medical anatomy drawings, and I was like, oh, I'd love to, yeah, yeah, super confident, like, oh, I've done anatomy so much, I've been drawing anatomy forever. I did not know anything. I did not know anything. Like, oh my god, they started asking me simple questions. Like, why does the rib cage do this? Why does this? I'm like, I don't know. It's like, oh, I thought you took anatomy. I'm like, oh, uh, clearly my anatomy class did not cover the things that were going to be asked about here. So, yeah, can I be excused? Uh, let's see. Squishy part, and then fingers. Weird angle. Eh, whatever. Anyways, when you are drawing, the less that you have to guess, the easier it is for you to draw your things, right? So as you are drawing your characters, be it a big buff dude like the Hulk, right? Or be it like Venom or something like that. Being able to understand your basic structure of human, even if it's going to be distorted, understanding just the basic placement of where things go is going to help you achieve whatever design choice you want to make. I already drew the jaw, so my jaw is going to go around the neck. Right? My teeth are going to end up being like that. So let's say that I wanted to make this into Venom, but I want to extend things. So let's figure out all the placement of all the important parts first. So if we're going to be doing an extended jaw, we need to establish where the eyes are going to go. In this case, we already have our little drawing of our skull. We just got to stylize them to make them look more like Venom's. Right? It's the same eyes, it's just stylized to make them look like Venom's or Spider-Man's or Carnage or whatever. Then we know that Venom does not have like an actual nose, but he still has that forehead crevice that goes into a mouth. So he still has that curvature to that part, he just doesn't have an actual nose. And then we know that he has ridiculously big teeth. So instead of having normal teeth like this, I'm going to make some cylinders or cones. The bottom jaw, we're not going to go with the easy angle, right? So let's get an idea of where our jaw is going to be on this side. And that would be where our ear would be around here. So that means my jaw goes down. And at this point, I get to determine how open I want his mouth. I want it to be ridiculously open, so I'm going to make it come all the way out here and then curl back to where the other ear would be around over here. So now that I know the bottom of my jaw, my chin is probably going to be somewhere around here. And if I connected it to the top of my face, it would be something like that. This is where my top teeth are. And then I get to decide where my bottom teeth are. And they're just going to follow this same curvature of my jaw. Right? That is essentially what your teeth do. They just follow the curvature of your jaw. So whatever curvature you chose for your jaw is going to be the same curvature for your teeth. Because they're parallel. But again, they're not movable things. So if one goes one way, this goes with it. And then on top of that, since we wanted to go with teeth like that, we're just going to add little. And then let's start adding a little bit of detail, connecting our neck to our chin and stuff like that. And see where we end up. Let's add some negative space like elements, like teeth on the side. And the other side of the mouth would probably be seen. Nope, we would not see it because the jaw is coming this way and curling around this way. So you would not see the other side, but you would see a bunch of teeth though. Okay, you can draw the tongue in the middle. Some drool. And that's kind of how I would approach drawing a Venom. Probably make this even smaller, honestly. There you Question from List Live. What are some examples of themes you used for the sketchbook challenge? I have used, I like to keep them generally themed. So whenever I am doing like a 2 week sketchbook, I like to make sure that I'm hitting a theme that's actually very broad. So for example, like if you are trying to approach it more towards what I'd like to do every day here, it would be more like I'm going to draw heads for the entirety of the sketchbook, right? So if you are bad at drawing heads, I would just focus on learning the different aspects of the head. I would start just be like heads, right? Focus on two things if you're going to be drawing anything like heads or any body part. If you're going to be focusing on body parts, I want you to approach it like this. Okay? You're going to take first, you're going to study how the actual body part is made in real life. So let's say for a head, you're going to understand and take into consideration and practice how to draw a skull, right? You're going to practice this over and over until you get the shaping that you like. If you get it to, you don't have to have a hyper realistic one. You just need to learn what the different elements in the actual place do. That is the goal. Your goal is to understand that these aren't just lines, these are shapes. And these shapes come in a complex system of flats and curves. That is really hard to get right, and it's really hard to understand. So it's something that you have to practice often if you want to actually achieve it. Right? This is one of the basic concepts of learning to draw from memory. Learning to draw from memory involves understanding the concept of space and depth and translating that into basic shapes. Right? Whatever the design is, even if it's a simple design, it's all based on basic shapes. Okay, even down to like the mustache of things. They're all little basic shapes. Everything has depth. Everything has like a structure underneath it if you are drawing it with a functionality in mind. You can have things without structure. Obviously, there's a lot of styles that call for not having structure. I mean, a lot of graffiti styles involve actually breaking, all those structurally you know, examples. And that's fine as well. Like that is what the style calls for. But understanding the actual thing allows you to deconstruct it a little bit easier. So if you are having issues with arms, hands, feet, spend a couple hours drawing them, but not just drawing them and repeatedly drawing them. Draw them and take notes. Draw them and explain it to yourself until it makes sense to yourself. I have found very, very, very awesome thing that I have learned a lot more from teaching all of you than I have from just sitting down and studying for myself. Because the moment that I feel like I need to explain something to someone, that is when I realize my limitations. And that's when I can actually attack those limitations, even with all of you guys, watching. It's intimidating as fuck. But, like if I make mistakes, I make mistakes, and then I just try to like see what I can do about fixing them. I love your mask method, says Mr. Inks. It has helped me so much. Just the placement of things is so good. I know, right? It just works so nicely. So have them draw different ways. What? I didn't catch that. No, it is a coincidence, some freaky Twilight Zone moment. That early I was cleaning and was looking at my Venom mask, and I made it for Halloween one year, and now you're drawing Venom. Like, what? Is this pre-recorded? It's live. Sorry if I haven't been like very like active on the chat. Like honestly, it's just I'm just enjoying drawing. So, you know, sorry. I do apologize. Like I think that's a comment that some other people made, like that I haven't been like looking at the chat too much or whatever. But when you get in the zone and you actually like feel happy about like what you're doing, guys, like we all know that feeling. It's not like we're all like, like strangers to that feeling of zoning out, you know. What I do wish, and I wish that this I point in my life, right? I hope that one day I'm able to get a gathering of people and just visit different places. Like if I want to go to like Spain, right, and then just go to Spain and be like, all right, Rod's gonna be here. Let's get a sketch group going. Blah 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 blah, and then we can do one of these live. Like we could do like one of these like streams just live and with people asking questions live. That would be so cool. I would also love to go to art schools and like give talks. Like that I think that would be like the one of the most biggest beneficial like aspects of. If you're wondering what the mask method is the way that I break down heads. So essentially I take a couple aspects of the head, right? So I only draw first of all, I only draw up until where the eyes, eyebrows, and the nose would be. I draw up to this point most of the time at first because the bottom part of your mouth is so flexible and it moves and it can move a very amount of places with it still looking right. Right? Depending on whatever like you are trying to achieve with it, you can move your jaw a considerable amount. So that should always be considered secondary to establishing this baseline first. In the best, easiest way for me to be able to do that is not to split it in half like a lot of people do. To me, this never really helped me, like, even though it is pretty, like, oh, you have your eyes in the middle of those. That makes sense, and it's like a very concepty thing, but to me, it made a lot more sense to just chip away a little part of the sphere. And that way I have my two crevices for my eye sockets and my nose hole. So I have my two crevices for my eye sockets. This character is going to have really, really, really big eyes and my nose socket. And then from here, I get to put the eyes within this area. So I know my eyes have to be within these areas. And I understand that there's a nose bridge in between. So this eye socket is technically going to, this nose bridge is going to cover a little bit of this eye, right? If I draw the eyes that big, the nose bridge would cover a little bit of that eye, but it wouldn't cover a little bit, it wouldn't cover any of this eye. That's my eyeball, not my eye that I'm going to end up drawing. That's just my eyeball. Now on top of that eyeball, let's just give it, on top of this eyeball, I get to choose to if I want to give it eyelids. Now, if I want to give it eyelids, eyelids are as easy as just giving your eye hemispheres. Right? You draw two hemispheres going around your eye, and then you just overlap them. And you end up with a solid eye. So let's do that, and let's give this person some sexy curvy eyes. So we're going to have the eyes curving down, and then we're going to find that end point, this point, and then just connect them. So now we have a nice upper eyelid. We can stylize it any way we want. But it's going around our eye, and we're getting a lot of depth. We do the same thing for the bottom eyelid if we want a bottom eyelid. Let's say they have like the little pointy part, it goes around, pointy part. At this point, this mask is also giving you your cheekbone. Right? So now it's giving you the entirety of the side of your face, really. It also provides once you draw your nose bridge in, it provides you the depth that you need to shade all this stuff inside. It also gives you the curvature of your forehead, and it also provides you an easy mapping for your neck. So that is essentially the mask method is just a fast, easy way to be able to mask and map out your characters without, thinking too much about what you're going to be drawing. Or like without guessing so much of where things are supposed to go, I guess. That's more so what it does. So it's just a different way of visualizing it. It's not like a better way, it's just a different way of like seeing how things are mapped out on your face. It's a way that I came up with. Uh, it took a little while to figure it out because I don't like necessarily like taking a lot of lessons. For being a teacher, I don't necessarily like taking many lessons. Uh, I like figuring out shit on my own. Can you draw an anime character to see how you draw it? Let's see. What anime character should we draw? Let's see. Hold on. Oh, we draw like Vegeta or something. Let's draw a Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan like 4. They have super big necks. Vegeta has a big forehead. Little ears. His eyebrows are ridiculously like sharp, so his mask would actually be kind of like this. Mostly not because he has like a super like high like forehead or some big eyes. It's because his eyebrows are so sharp. In the top of your mask is your eyebrow line. So then you have your eyebrow muscle. That it's just like a little muscle that goes on top of that. Forehead. Then my eyes. If I'm not mistaken, their eyes are very much so like squarish. Then they have little noses and they're always angry. So let's draw the chin first. Then my bottom teeth and my upper teeth would be around here. So if that's where my mouth is going to be, my mouth would wrap around. And then my nose would be like right here. Some cheekbones. Upper lip. Negative space. Bottom lip. Chin. Super sharp jaw. A little bit more space in between the neck and stuff. And then their hair is like he has such a big forehead. And they have their little like transformation, like whatever. And you know, because of why not? Let's just give him like a little curly. Every anime character has curlies. So, how can you show how to draw a woman hair? I'm drawing Poison Ivy and I'm struggling with her hair. Oh, how long have I been on? I think it's been close to like an hour and a half, I think. I should probably get off in a little bit, but I'm gonna get off once I finish once I finish this page. Like I said, I have nothing to do till like 4. So, and it's barely like 12:30. All right. So, can you show how to draw hair on women? I think I can. Let's see if we can make a hair tutorial within this space that actually teaches you guys how to do this. But before we do that, I need you guys to hit that like button. Oh, Jesus. Oh. Oh, we passed the 44,000 subscriber list like mark on YouTube. We are at 44,100. Woohoo! I believe we've passed the 95,000 mark on TikTok, and we are still stuck at 121 on Instagram because Instagram sucks. What time is it where you live? It is 12:34. So, how do you draw hair on women? Well, hair is relatively easy. Again, it's just a matter of understanding and visualizing this a little bit better. So let's say we have a couple characters right here. And we're going to keep it nice and simple so it's not a complex thing. Okay, we're going to break it down to the most simple shapes and we're going to give you a slightly more difficult example. So you understand that the concept applies to both simple and complex shapes. Okay, we have Mr. Lady right there. Now let's say we want to give these characters hair. Well, the first thing that you need to establish is that the hairline is a little bit above your eyebrow line. So wherever you have your eyebrows, your hair is not going to be too far away from there. Okay, so on this guy, if his eyebrows are here, my hairline's not going to be too far away from that. It's going to be normally about half of the space between where it's left on top of your eyebrows to the top of your head. That's gonna be like a rough estimate of where your hairline's gonna go. Okay, so once you understand that, style is going to play a big role in this because your eyebrows are not supposed to be this far away from your eyes. So when it comes down to your eyeball, right, and your eye socket and stuff, you normally have your eye and then your eyeball sits in your eye socket and your eyebrow sits on top of the top part of your eye socket. Your eye is very much closer to the top of your eye, like, you know, shape, that your eye socket, than you might think. The only reason that seems like there's a lot of space is normally because your eyelid is closed. So if your eyelid is partly closed, you get all this extra space. But the actual eyeball is very close to where your eyebrow is. So when you have your eyes open completely, in this case, let's open them. It would be more accurate to have your eyebrows a little bit above your eyes with no eyelid, because when you open up your eyelid gets pushed back into your eyeball, showing a lot more of it. So the more you open your eye, the less eyelid you see. Okay, so once we understand that, that same concept is going to happen with hair, right? The same concept of the eyelid and wrapping around the eye to be able to get that same depth is going to be the same concept that happens with your hair. It might change the direction, like if you have certain hair that has certain qualities, you know, you're going to get different lines going around in your hemispheres to figure out the hairline. But it's essentially that. You're just slicing your shape, figuring out where that top part of your sphere is. Once you figure out that hairline, just figure out where your ears are going to be, because they're going to play a little bit of a role in there. Your hairline is going to go there and then down into your ear. Boom. Boom. From the side, you have hairline here. So you're going to have your hairline, which is by dividing the top part of your shape, and then you're going to have this little sideburn line that is going to come. If you have your eye, measure about one eye length, and then you'll be safe enough to put this side of the face. Now, understanding where the ear goes comes into play with understanding what the jaw does. So we're probably not going to get into that today, because that's going to be like a whole lesson in itself. But whenever you're drawing somebody in the profile view, I'll keep it nice and simple. The distance between for your eyes should be normally within the first fourth part of your face. Right? Your eyes and your features, stuff like that, should be in the fourth part of your face. 1/4 should be nice and empty. And then the next fourth has your ear. And then that last part seems a lot smaller, because normally it tapers into the neck. But this is normally the breakdown, an easy, nice breakdown of the distances between things. When you're seeing this as a 3/4 view, it becomes a little bit harder to establish that, right? So when you're doing in 3/4, I want you guys to focus on learning how to like draw your face first, like draw the the design of your face, and then fit your anatomy around what you drew. The reason it's easier to draw things like that when it comes down to 3/4 is because the actual perspective of the 3/4 is very subjective. You can have a very forced one, right? Like a very, very forced 3/4 perspective, which will be very different than a normal 3/4 perspective view. So just understanding your basic perspective in these cases is going to help you. But when it comes down to actually like narrowing down how far your features up in the face you're supposed to draw them at, keep about this ratio and you'll be safe. Tap the damn screen, gooey purple. That is an awesome name, by the way. For some reason, it just reminds me of Kool-Aid. Always remember that your initial sketch, right? Your initial shape in your sketch that you draw, it's not going to be like the all be all of things. If you need to change those lines as you're sketching, change them, right? If something's not looking right, just automatically change it right away. Don't worry about like continuing on with a drawing that you're not going to like, or that you're not doing right and you know it's off. So just whenever you do notice and you realize that something is off, stop, fix it, and if you need to redo it, redo it. Being an artist is not an easy task. Being an artist for a living is even harder. So if you guys are career oriented and you guys aren't not focusing on learning all these things, you're giving yourself a huge disservice, because there's a reason that they teach you this as your foundation skills. Is YouTube all fuzzy again? Stupid YouTube. It's always YouTube. It's always the webcam. It's never like actual like phone streams. It's always the webcam. It's like, all right, guys. Anyone you wanna donate a webcam to me? Actually, no. I can't even take anything. Uh, I right now I'm moving, so I can't even like know what I'm gonna end up having like equipment wise. So even if like somebody was awesome and was like, yeah, I'll give you one, like it doesn't matter. I can't even know where I'm gonna end up yet. What I would take if you guys are connected with anyone would be like the name of a realtor in Scotland. That'd be amazing. I need to get an apartment over there. There's different ways to approach the mask method. There's this way about it as well. This way is meant more so to give a higher, like, indicative part to your cheekbones and to your forehead line. So if a character has like really, really heavy set eyes, seeing it like this is going to help you a lot. Right? It's gonna make it a little bit easier to visualize that whole like eyebrow area being sunken in. So once you understand the basic concept of it, then you are free to expand on it, make it your own, right? Like all the things that I teach you, they might be something that I worked on and I practiced and I play around with, but by no means in shapes or forms is it completely like a mastered way of seeing things. So anyone out there that feels so inclined to actually practice and play around with the concept more, let me know. Like if you guys figure out a different approach that's a little bit better, hey, I'm I'm game, man. Like you guys, like you have no idea. If I find something that's gonna make me better, I'll be more than happy to learn it and then teach it to everyone. So, I require your guys' feedback as well whenever you guys get a chance to. If you guys are learning a lot from me, or you guys are learning a little, or even if you're not learning at all, please let me know. Like, adjusting my way of teaching is the best way that I'm going to become a better teacher. So, any feedback you guys have is valuable to me. So I do ask for feedback. Reviews are always really, really kind. Um, yeah, honestly, if you guys, that's the best way you guys can help me. Leave a nice review on my Facebook. Leave a nice review on my LinkedIn. You guys can leave a nice review on YouTube. You know, that is all I ask. Because then I can get the companies to pay for my shit. Right? Like the whole thing is not about making you guys donate and have me you guys pay for my shit. Nah, let's get the corporate people to pay for that shit. Make the advertisers pay for this shit. You know? So the way to get that to happen though is to have them understand that this is an important like group or an important like place to actually come advertise it. And that's how you do it is by, letting the algorithm know that I'm important. And how do you do that? You click that like button. Yeah. All right. Let's see. We're almost done, and then I get to call Vicky, and I get to smile, and I get to be happy. And then I have to go get a truck so I can load up a lot of things. Today's gonna be a long day. Oh man, today's gonna be a long day. I went to the dollar store, picked up a pack of Bic round stick. Great to sketch with. Can go light. Yeah, Scott Campbell. Is that Scott Campbell? No, it's not Scott. Are you Scott Campbell, the design the artist, or are you Scott Campbell? You are also an artist, but not the comic book artist. If you are, man, like, just let you know, big fan. Alright, let's draw some slightly different perspectives. Let's draw a monster though. Nose bridge first so I can know what much is being blocked. Drawing the nose bridge is very important. Let's make it a furry monster. Like a werewolf. Since I'm adding a different type of nose, I need to add a different shape. Right? There's a muzzle, or like the mouth of a dog is more so, it goes out more. So I need to make sure that I account for that. And you can use that same concept to draw animals, monsters, aliens, whatever you feel like drawing. It looks more like a bear. Let's make his ears go. Bum, bum, bum. Wait, did we do the hair? Oh, wait, hold on. Like, I guess we kind of forgot about the hair. Hold on, let's go back. See, this is the reason that I don't distract myself, because I forget. Okay, so hair for women and men, it doesn't matter what it is. Hair doesn't really stick out much higher than the head. Most times, hair is slicked back onto the actual head, so it doesn't go past much. It doesn't go high as much as people think. Like it doesn't always go like here. Like it doesn't always poof up so much, right? If you have an afro or something like that, yeah, it would poof up. It'd be like, and then that'd be the shape that is on top of your head, right? But when you just have normal hair, normally just a little bit of it sticks out, like a little poof, or like a little like bun or something like that that like gets drawn in there. A pigtail that would be easily like identified by drawing through your shape and figuring out the back, right? Hair in itself is not really complicated to figure out. It's learning how to move the shapes in space that is very difficult. And you can easily practice doing really cool hairstyles by just drawing blobs on like a basic head and then just making those into basic shapes so you have depth, and then just going in and finishing your drawing. But now at least you are seeing things like this for the volume that they have, right? So Super Saiyan haircut would be like that. And then all these would have little like rivets and stuff like that because it's hair that's sticking up. Great job. You've done live for 90 minutes. Don't forget to take a break. Oh, look at it and telling me to take a break. You've been drawing too much. Why is it fuzzy? Stupid YouTube. Like, why is it fuzzy? Is it because? Oh, I'm in 380p. Like, That's why it's fuzzy. It's not the camera's fuzziness. It's the stupid resolution of this YouTube player freaking me out for no reason. God damn you, YouTube. Okay, so let's say, do we have any space to fill out anything else? Well, as we are getting closer to the end of the stream, as always, I'd like to thank all of you guys for keeping me company. Thank you so much for being my sketching buddies today. I hope that you all have a wonderful day. And if you guys do feel like you want to support or want to help out the cause, there are books that you guys can purchase in my links in my shop. Please feel free to check them out. Most of them are sketching doodles that you guys can use as references or you guys can just use to inspire yourselves. One of them is called Coffee Break Doodles. The other one is called Art Block. Art Block is all the collection of doodles like these that are meant to help you just snap out of Art Block by just flipping to a random page and then trying to draw or practice something within it. So that is an awesome, awesome book that I put together. I will be putting multiple versions of Art Block together. I have scanned all 27 of my sketchbooks, so I will have a lot of material to play with. Yeah, Pinups is my pinup book. If you guys do enjoy sexy ladies, let me see if I can find some. Yeah, if you enjoyed sexy ladies and cute little pinup girls and like how to draw ladies and stuff like that, Pinups is going to be the book that you get because that is going to be the one that teaches you how to draw women and it's going to give you a ton of references from my best artwork that I have done in the last 20 years. So those are the 3 books that I have available for you guys. If you guys do want to support, that is the best way because I don't like just taking your money. I like making sure you guys get something in return for the support and the help that you guys give me. You guys can also subscribe and stuff like that if you guys wish. I wish that I was better at keeping my subscribers like more like giving more stuff and stuff. I wish that I had more time on me to be able to do this. I will be able to offer my subscribers much more after I finish moving. So I'll be able to actually create the content that I promised you guys at first. Like, but so I honestly I do have to apologize to like most of them because I haven't been able to comply. I still give you guys like free stuff and cool stuff and take you guys' suggestions for videos, but I haven't been able to do all the giveaways that I wish because like shipping things right now is it's kind of hard. Like So I do apologize for that. But I do give you guys free goodies, so. Alright, so I think we are getting pretty close to being finished here. At this point, I'm just coloring in and creating contrast within my shapes so that each one of these little doodles comes off like a little highlight or like a focal point. Then that way I can link each one of these doodles together if they match little tiny baby lessons that we did and then therefore create a piece of art instead of just a doodle page. Which at the end of the day, I guess it's what we want to do as artists. I'm not like outside of that scope of wanting to always create something cool and pretty. So, it's just something that I've learned to measure out whenever I can and when I can't do it. But I still want to create cool, pretty things all the time. Yeah. Let's see. So this is what we ended up teaching today. Between today's stream in the morning and like this one right now, we learned a little bit about foreshortening. We learned a lot about drawing goblins and random anatomy things that help you be able to draw fantasy creatures like that. We talked a little bit about perspective and a little bit about what it's needed for when it comes down to character designs. We drew a lot of eyes and we drew a lot of body poses and we drew a lot of different actual angles for the jaw and we talked a little bit about very fun, interesting, and hard things to like accomplish when it comes down to drawing your things. We explained how to draw eyes in the way that you draw mouths, in the mouths in the way that you draw eyes, how to draw mouths a little bit more detailed, and we ended up drawing Mr. Vegeta in my own way. So I think we have accomplished a pretty damn good sketch session today. That made a couple hours of our time dedicated to drawing, which means that tomorrow we are going to be a little bit better prepared than we are today. So each one of you guys that has stayed here and learned and drew along with me has improved a little bit. And tomorrow you will improve a little bit more. And then the day you will eventually be able to accomplish all the things that you guys really want to do with your artwork. So thank you so much for your time and attention. For any past videos that you guys might want to do, or you guys want to learn for more from a person like me, please go look into my YouTube channel so you guys can actually see all the different videos that I have. There's over 250 videos nowadays. So go to the live section if you guys want more streams like this. If you guys want just more structured videos about a certain topic, please just go into my actual videos channel. There's hundreds of videos for you guys to check. And like I said, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Draw a little, doodle a little, love a little, and have a wonderful day.